Shalom. If you have a Tanakh, a Bible, you might want to get a hold of it and follow along as I read Psalm number 2. Why do nations assemble and peoples plot vain things? Kings of the earth take their stand, and regents intrigue together against the Lord and against his anointed. Let us break the cords of their yoke, shake off their ropes from us. He who is enthroned in heaven laughs. The Lord mocks at them. Then he speaks to them in anger, terrifying them in his rage. But I have installed my king on Zion, my holy mountain. Let me tell of the decree, the Lord said to me. You are my son. I have fathered you this day. Ask it of me, and I will make the nations your domain, your estate, the limits of the earth. You can smash them with an iron mace, shatter them like potter's ware. So now, O kings, be prudent. Accept discipline, you rulers of the earth. Serve the Lord in awe, tremble with fright, pay homage in good faith, lest he be angered and your way be doomed in the mere flash of his anger. Happy are all who take refuge in him. So much could be said about this psalm, and if I wanted to, I could make this an opportunity for some kind of political statements about our leaders or about the government or about the way the current plague and pandemic of COVID-19 is being handled. But instead, I would rather go in a slightly different direction and comment on verse 4. He who is enthroned in heaven laughs, the Lord mocks at them. Namely, the Lord mocks at our leaders and our governments and the kings who mock the Lord. But there's an old Yiddish expression that is familiar, I'm sure, to many of you, if not all of you, which is man plans and God laughs, which is another way of phrasing the old quote from the poet Robert Burns: the best laid plans of mice and men go awry. The best laid plans of mice and men. We have gained so much sense of pride and accomplishment in the achievements of our society and our culture, and have really become accustomed to all the comforts and luxuries that we have, the things that we take for granted, that now in this age of COVID-19 are taken away from us, at least temporarily, as we make the sacrifices of sheltering in place, self-isolating, quarantine, physical distancing, or however you want to put it. With all of our achievements and with all our great plans, here comes a plague that puts all these plans to waste. Man plans, God laughs. And then we have the statement in verse 11. Ivdu et Adonai b'yirah, serve the Lord in awe. Immediately, what comes to my mind is a parallel verse, which is really a contrasting verse in Psalm 100. Ivdu et Adonai b'simcha, serve the Lord in gladness or in joy. So one place the psalmist tells us to serve the Lord in joy, and here in our psalm number 2, the psalmist instructs us to serve the Lord with yirah, with awe. The word yirah is often translated as fear, but it also means awe. How are we to approach the current situation in terms of our mental and spiritual attitudes? Are we to walk around every day in fear and terror? Or do we allow the power and force of this plague to create within us a sense of awe and amazement and power, the power of a virus to change society so drastically in the way that it is doing. The power of a virus to turn all of our best laid plans of mice and men, to turn all these plans awry. I don't like to think of God laughing in any kind of physical way because I don't think of God in physical terms. And I don't think that there is anything amusing about this situation. And I don't think in any way that God is happy or that God is mocking us. But in some respects, COVID-19 is really putting humanity in its place. And all of our plans are laid waste. At this time, we might find it more difficult to serve the Lord in joy and in gladness, even though I'm sure there is room for us to do so in every day of our lives, and to find a sense of gratitude and joy in the very fact that we are alive and that we are here to talk to one another and to connect. But perhaps right now, a proper theological response is yirah, is awe, a sense of who we are and our place in the world, a sense of the limits of our power, a sense of the limits of what we ought to be able to do and can do each and every day in the face of a plague of this nature. And so, with the sense of awe, we realize that it is our role and our place to serve God, to do God's will in every way we can, to continue to be there and support our families, our friends, and our communities in any way possible. And that is one of the ways in which we serve God, to worship God, to thank God, and to realize that we have so much to be grateful for. And first and foremost, the ability to live each day with that sense of yirah and awe, and a sense of who we are, and the sense of God's tremendous, powerful, and inspiring role in our lives. Thank you for listening. Shalom.